All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to another release notes update webinar from me. I'm Matt Avery. This webinar is going to be a little different from the monthly ones that I've done in the past. The reason is, we have a big update. Usually this time of year, we do a major release for RaceDay Scoring. So last year was version 1 around this time, and the year before that, it was when we put it into alpha, so the very first public release of the software. So today we're going to do a little bit different. I'm going to go through some of the slides and do more of a review of the product in general, where it's come from last year at this time, and what's kind of on the plan for the near future in 2020. So again, really happy and excited to bring you guys this release. It's been a lot of hard work for us, and I wanted to kind of quantify that, all the work we've done over the past year, and show it to you. So let's get started. First off, if you guys don't know me, my name is Matt Avery. I'm product manager for RaceDay products at RunSignup. So what my role in the company is to make sure that all the RaceDay products are getting the right features implemented, and trying to organize all the features so that they are done in the correct order, make sure that our developers are doing the right things efficiently. So I'm an athlete myself. You can see me competing in cyclocross on the right. If you don't know what cyclocross is, check it out. It's a really crazy, wild sport. So before we get too far into this, a lot of the people attending this webinar are new to RaceDay Scoring, or they want to learn more about it. They're curious as to why it might be something worth checking out. So I wanted to go into some of the main highlights of why I think RaceDay Scoring is really great. Some of the big thing here is that it's 100% offline scoring. So what that means is that it doesn't require internet access to time races. It's installed locally. You can even run a local network of kiosk computers with it to add, edit participants, and display results in kiosks in real time without internet. Now, on the other side of that coin, we do have next generation syncing. So what that means is that when the internet is available, participant data syncing happens in real time. There's no need to manually download, import, or upload spreadsheets of data anymore. You don't have to, go to the website, download the participants, sort them, assign bibs, get them into the software manually. This is all being done in the background as the race is happening. So what that means is that on race morning, you don't have to wait until pickup has ended to do that final import of participants. They're all just in the database as if you were looking at RunSignup.com. Races can leave registration open even after the gun goes off. So all the data, it's coming in real time, and the bib number assignments happen, and it's all in your scoring software. You don't need to worry about making sure you have all that data imported again. Volunteers can do dynamic bib assignment during check-in on race morning. So this is a really popular tool, a RaceDay check-in app that people use to assign bib numbers as people come up. It's a cost-saving and really slick and effective way to distribute bibs, and I think it's much faster than pre-assigning bibs and searching through all of them. No more stress about last-minute data pulls. Changes in bib numbers are automatically synced with RaceDay Scoring. So if a change happens on runsignup.com or in the check-in app, those all sync into your scoring software immediately. And then you can set up autosaves so that the finish times will automatically sync to live leaderboards and to the web. So our big goal with RaceDay Scoring is to make it that next generation scoring platform, and the core of that is this syncing process that's happening in the background, and it's one of the really big upgrades from the Race Director software is that syncing is happening all the time in real time. It's really slick. And for those users of the Race Director and RunScore, they do have online integrations with registration providers and result providers, but the RaceDay Scoring one is just another level. It's really cool. And another thing that's really great is that you can really easily import and export the race definitions from one computer to another. So we built the software to make it such that you could quickly just export the whole race definition and pull it into another computer. So you can set your race up at home and restore it in the field. All of your settings and reports you build, those will all be included automatically. We're going to be expanding that third part of this very shortly, and it's one of our main goals to have by spring 2020. We're going to do automatic backing up of race data and being able to deploy that really, really easily and slick. So I'll get into that a little bit later, but I wanted to give you an overview of what I think is really good about RaceDay Scoring. So 2019 in review, let me tell you, we've been really, really busy. We've done a whole lot of work getting it to this point, so I'm really, really happy to kind of show it off. We've had 112,683 lines of code added in 2019. We had over 1,000 commits on GitHub, and what that is basically a commit is usually an individual fix. If it's just a typo and a note, that's a commit, but maybe it's a whole feature that someone added, that could be a commit. But it's basically, you'll have more commits than full releases, as you'll see. We have 31 releases pushed to production in this last year. So each release will have a bunch of different features added, a bunch of different bugs fixed. So, and you can see on the right here is our little, we can see all the different developers and how much work they've done and how many lines of code they've committed. You can see I've done very little, but I am on there. So RunSignup has invested a lot of resources behind this product. We're really dedicated to this because our goal is to make our timers and give them the best tools they have available in the market so that they can be successful in their business. That's our real goal here. We really want to give you guys the best in the market. We want to make your businesses successful so that we can get more registrations through that. That's our whole goal. So let me go through some of the key features that have been added since last year at this time. A lot of you, may not be paying attention to all the monthly updates that I've been doing, so I wanted to give you an overview of the big ones that we've added. So big one that just came out are corrals. We now have the ability to group any participants together in any number of ways who start together, overriding their event start time. So in prior versions, you could only have separate starts for each event you had in RaceDay Scoring. So you'd have a separate start for the 5K and the 10K and the 15K and the half marathon or whatever. With corrals, we now can support things like early starts, or if you had a triathlon where you have different type of corrals, like you have the aquathon females 19 to 29 in one corral and 30 to 39 in another corral, but that's combined with all the elites in the open category, things like that. We let you set up a whole bunch of filtering to basically define what participants are or should be assigned into each of your corrals. So I'm going to dig into each of these features after this. So what I'm going to do in this webinar is go through the slide deck, and then we're going to dig into the updates that we've done in the last update. Corrals is in there, so I'll show you guys that. Aggregate team scoring. So what aggregate team scoring is the standard or classic type team scoring, where you're adding up times or places for participants in a team and produce reports to show the teams in order of total places and times. So things like corporate runs, that's like what we support now. So last year, we already had relay team support, so that's already in there. We've added this really nice aggregate team scoring system. Direct to printer. You don't have to, we used to only support printing to a PDF and then printing from there. We now support printing directly to a printer, which a lot of people obviously asked for, and that was done a little while ago. Dashboard improvements, if you've been following along with us, we've added a whole ton of great stuff to the dashboard recently. Automatic leaderboards that generate in real time as passings come in. More in-depth stats like breakdowns of each location. Show me how many people from all the events broken out. Show me how many occurrences, how many participants with each occurrence broken out. We put in quick links to participant records and a whole bunch more. So just a lot of great improvement made there. The race director integration. This is a really cool thing that we started working on this past year. Was we wanted to make a really tight integration with the race director so that those users can come over more easily and also provide them some benefits at the same time. So you can use the race director for data entry and for results kiosks with RaceDay Hub. RaceDay Hub is our local networking system where you can set up one computer to score and others to display results or to enter data into, and they're all connected to that one single database. So this is really cool. Allows you to leverage the race director's classic data entry features. You know, some people are really, really fast with the way that race director is set up because they've been using it forever, as well as receipt printing for results. So race director's kiosk has a receipt printing functionality built into it. RaceDay Scoring, we don't have it quite yet, but we're going to get to it. In the meantime, you can use race director's results kiosks if you really want those receipt prints. So the last one is custom top finishers. We added this feature as a way to let people define their own custom top finisher category. So usually top finishers are like, overall is any age, masters is 40 plus, veterans is 50 plus, so on and so forth. We let you say that you could also define all of those filters yourself. For instance, you could have, give me the top 3 people in this event who answered yes to the Clydesdale, or Clydesdale to a Clydesdale Athena question, or something like that. You could do any sort of filtering you need, and we found some pretty creative uses of this through support. So that's been very successful. Plus major performance improvements. We have done a lot of optimization. And when I say that, I mean we've done a lot of optimization. We had one whole release just around optimization of read processing and participant syncing. So if you're doing races with a lot of people or a lot of reads coming in, and you've used the software about a year ago or 6 months ago, and you're a little disappointed because it was chugging along but barely on large races, we have done a ton of work in that area. So now it's a lot more, it's a lot faster for processing reads and syncing lots of data back and forth. So rest assured, this thing is it's the real deal now. So what's coming up next? 2020. Well, I'll tell you this much: we're going to keep staying busy because there's a whole lot that we want to implement that's really exciting. So I'm going to tell you about what's in the plans. So the major features coming in 2020. First one on deck is going to be auto backup to the cloud. So what we're going to be doing is implementing a system where, as you're timing a race, we'll be automatically backing up that race, its files, and all the reads to the timer dashboard. We'll improve the backup and restore capabilities so the organization can review and assist teams from a central timer dashboard. So our idea is that I'm going to load up my race and I'm going to import it in my computer. And what it will do is it will see all of the backups that have been made to this race, break it out by, Matt Avery made this backup on this day at this time. Bob Bickle made a backup as well at a different day and this time. And I could choose which one I want, or I could just choose the most recent update. And then it'll show me the changes that I'm going to make to my system. So we haven't quite started this project, but it's going to be our first one that we start working on in another week or so. So this is really important for us. We know that one of the big requests people have about our system is making it better for organizations that set up at home or in an office and then deploy out to the field, and giving them better solutions for both setting up races and deploying them, and also supporting remote timers in the field from home. So we're going to be putting a lot of work into that area. One big thing too is lap races that we have not yet taken on lap race scoring. Lap race is very specific. It's not multi-segment race where you have a marathon with a 5K split, a 10K split, or like a better use case would be a marathon on a track where they're doing laps. But when we say lap races, what we mean is time races. So a 24-hour race or a 6-hour race where we see how many laps can people complete in the set amount of time and then score it, instead of it being, I know everybody's going to run 26.2 miles. Who does it the fastest? So we're going to be working on that in 2020 as well. Timer analytics. This is going to be a really, really fun area. We're going to be expanding the timer dashboard and RunSignup to give you insights into the races that you time. Things like demographics, finisher rate per minute, no-show percentage, all sorts of things. We're going to do a lot about, we're also going to have some real-time analytics, things like if you look at your timer dashboard while races are ongoing for your timer organization, you could see, I've got the 5K, they're out in the field, they've started collecting reads, they've got 10 starters so far, And so I know they've just barely, started their race. Another race they've started and they've got 93% of their finishers done. And another one, they've posted results and they're all wrapped up and tearing down. So it's going to give you a really, really nice way to see what's going on race day, even though you aren't there yourself. Reporting engine overall. So this is something that's currently being worked on. We're actually completely redeveloping how we do our reporting. And the reason we're doing that is we're changing it to allow users to sort on any group and by any piece of sort on and group by any piece of data. So things like, I want to do a report that just, instead of being sorted on chip time or gun time, which is what we're limited to right now, I want to sort this report on last name, first name, things like that. In combination with that, we are going to make the reporting more shareable so that I could take this report that I've kind of developed and I'm going to be able to make it available for any of my races. For instance, I want to have, that pre-reg report that I built, and I want to share that across all my races. I was just told, I forgot to mention, hold off on questions until the end of the slide deck. I'm going to answer some then, and then we're going to move on to more of the updates that we did in the last version specifically. So sorry about that. So moving on, we're going to improve our manual backup timing support. So right now we have a pretty simple method of doing manual backups from like summit timers and things like that, or just punching in times into a spreadsheet and importing it. We're going to be enhancing how we manage this backup source of data. We're also going to be creating a timer app. Well, we actually RunSignup had a timer app back in the day that we've deprecated that was essentially like pull tag scoring, where you'd have one person collecting positions and bib numbers and another person collecting times in positions, and then we merge it all in the back end. So we're going to be, excuse me, actually bringing that one back from the dead and implementing it with the RaceDay Hub so you can use it with RaceDay Scoring. That's a really exciting project that I'm looking forward to. RaceDay Hub updates. So one of our big things in 2020 is we are going to completely redesign the RaceDay Results app that is from RunSignup to be used both with RaceDay Hub and with RunSignup results, so that it can be used locally with a race that doesn't have internet, or it can be used from online sources of data. So we'll be doing more of these Android, iOS web apps that can integrate with RaceDay Hub, or use the data from RunSignup. So that's going to be really fun. We're going to be doing full cross-country support before the fall of next year, so we're going to have it in time for all of you cross-country timers. Right now, we're really close to supporting cross-country. There's only a small difference. Basically, we need to make sure we do just the displacement functionality correct. But the big thing is that we want to wait until we have a better team reporting engine on RunSignup before we come out with this full cross-country report, full cross-country scoring support. The idea is we really want to make it right. We know that cross-country is very specific in how results should be displayed, and we right now can't really support that results display. So we're going to hold off on really shipping that until we have a good display for team results at RunSignup. That segues me nicely into the final one, which is a RaceDay results upgrade. So on runsignup.com, we're going to have some time to be able to work on a refresh of the UI for results pages, leaderboards, and kiosks. And also, we're going to add in a ton of features. We've got a backlog of requests from customers from the past couple of years that we're going to be sorting out, implementing, and so you're going to be seeing a whole lot of stuff come in 2020 for RunSignup results in general. So I'm super excited about all this stuff happening. Yeah, let's keep going. So how can I learn more? Obviously, coming to these webinars is good. You get to learn about the product, how it's evolving. But if you want to learn about how to use the product or how to transition to it or how to become an expert, these are some good options. So next week, the race director transition to race day scoring webinar with Roger Bradshaw is happening. So the race director, that's for the users of the race director scoring software. So that's going to be happening Thursday, December 19th at 2 p.m. There's a link right here, resources.runsignup.com/webinar-calendar. Come check that. Roger's done a really, really good job of integrating with race day scoring, and he's made a really easy transition for those timers of his who are transitioning over to race day scoring. Excuse me. Next, timers are invited to attend RunSignup's Winter Symposium in Orlando, Florida. January 13th to 14th, we're going to be doing hands-on training on race day scoring and other race day suite product offerings. So this is we've done the symposium in the summer every year for quite a while now. We just started doing the winter symposiums, and this one's going to be, we're going to have a big focus on timers there. So we're going to be doing training sessions and certifications for both beginners and advanced timers. Help.racedayScoring.com. It's a great resource for full guides on getting started with race day scoring, as well as with advanced topics. And you'll see in the right here, we got screenshots galore, bullet points, and beyond that, we are really, really good with support. We're very responsive. We're always here to help. And I think it's sometimes better just give us a call or shoot us an email, and we'll walk you through exactly what you need to do to make your race work well. I find that people's scenarios are very unique, and it's best if I can just sit and talk with them and give them a good recommendation instead of pointing them to a guide unless I have to. So how can you get race day scoring? For those who don't know, it's a part of RunSignup's race day suite. This is a license that starts, so it's an annual license that starts at $150 a year. It includes all these products: race day scoring, race director, free check-in app, race day results delivery, unlimited free text alerts for all finisher results and split data, free race day photos, exclusive race day pricing arrangements for race day certified timers. So you can come and check out the certifications to get that exclusive pricing. And then our, most importantly, access to support services. This is really what you're paying for in this. We spend a lot of money on development, but the support, that's the big thing. We do a really, really good job of helping everybody out, even on weekends. So all this is included with a Race Day Suite license and can be used regardless of the registration platform or scoring software. Full pricing info can be found at this link, racedayScoring.blog/pricing. So it's a tiered pricing system. It goes up based on how large your organization is in terms of number of participants that you time in a year. So thank you guys so much. I'm gonna, after this slide, go into a little bit deeper dive into the updates that have been done since the last update. If you do have any questions, contact us, raceday@runsignup.com. There's our support line number if you want to chat, or schedule a demo with Crisp. He's our guy who does all of our demos for the Race Day products in general. He's really good with making recommendations to you if you have questions on how best you should use the check-in app, the expo mode, or anything like that. And basically, he'll work with you and lay out a good design for your race day experience. All right, so if you guys do have any questions, I'm gonna open up my chat here and see if we had any. Cool, looks like we are all good. So I'm gonna get moving into the next part of this webinar. So if you guys don't already know, our website, we use a blog for a website, pretty basic, but it works, racedayscoring.blog. And if you go into the About section, there's a Release Notes tab. And we're gonna go through all the updates that we did in this version 2 update. So it's important to note that we have a one-time database migration, which might take a little while to complete depending on the size of the participant database. So when you first start up the app, it will have this upgrading database notice here. We had to add some additional stuff into the database, and so we have to do this little upgrade the first time you start up. It's only a first time thing, so just this first time when you install it, you'll see it, but it doesn't take too long really. Okay, so some feature updates. We added corrals. Like I said, this is a big one. You now have the ability to create corrals of participants, which you can assign start times to. You have the ability to create corral member assignment rules, which will automatically place participants into corrals based on information like gender, age, event, or custom question response. So I'll show it to you a little bit here. There's actually a good help guide on this. So I want to just kind of walk you through this overview of start times. So this is important because it kind of shows you and explains to you all the different types of starts and how they are, how they work together. So there's clock start times, and those are set on the scored event. Basically, they determine how the clock time field is calculated. It subtracts the actual start time of day from the recorded finish time for the participant and generates the clock time. You'll always set a event start time on each scored event. So this is going to be like the main start time considered for participants who are included in that scored event. Now, you can also have corral start times, and that will override your event start times. So everyone will always have a clock start time. It's either going to be their scored event clock time, or it's going to be their corral start time if they have one. If they don't have a corral start time or are not assigned to a corral, it's just going to use their scored event start time. So, sometimes participants in the same scored event need to have different start times. You can set up a corral, which is a group of participants who should use a start time that is different from their scored event start time. So for instance, you might have a simple race, one scored event, marathon, starts at 7 a.m., but some participants are going to be starting an hour early. You would set the scored event start time to 7, then create the corral for the early start and set that corral start time to 6. So you don't have to set up a 7 a.m. corral as well as a 6 a.m. corral. You just use the scored event, the main start time, leave it at 7, and then you have this separate group of participants who's going to be starting at 6. But you don't have to create, corrals for both. So now, once you've got your corral set up, you can assign participants to that corral. You can do that in a number of ways. You can, create a member assignment rule. You can manually do it. So like go in, I know bib 15 started this time. I can go in and change their corral assignment manually. I can import a spreadsheet. The member assignment rules are really, really cool. They allow you to say anybody who answered yes to the early start custom question from RunSignup, they should automatically be put in this corral. And then once you have your corral set up and your event start time set up, you can just trigger those start times either by manually typing them in or starting now using the computer clock. And then I go into an explanation of chip start times. So the corrals you can kind of get started with by just going in and clicking the corrals menu item tab, which we now have. It's a little clock. And let's say for this race, I have a custom question in this that says, what would you like? Would you like to use the early start 6:30 a.m. option? And so this is a custom question that I imported from RunSignup, and all I had to do that was check this box when I was, syncing everything. So this is in my data. So now participants, when I look at them, they have this question, yes or no, would you like to use this early start? So what I can do is I can come in here, manually add a corral for early start. I know it starts 6:30. Save it, and I can set up an auto assignment rule. This is kind of a complicated screen, but we're gonna be cleaning it up a little bit. But basically, what you're doing here is you're saying this is defining a group of participants that should be included in this corral. So I want all people who are in the 20K, and it's got all these filters for like bib ranges and genders and ages. But if I leave it blank, it's gonna accept everybody in the 20K. But I don't want everybody, I want to filter that. So I'm going to add a filter using this custom question response and say, yes, everybody who answered yes to this early start custom question, I want those people in this corral. So now I'll go up to the top and click Save and Preview Assignments. This is where it gets pretty cool. So I have a few options. I can either assign all the participants in groups. This is basically saying even if they've had a corral assignment in the past, overwrite it. I could assign only participants in groups with a different corral assignment. So if some people had a corral and I just wanted to update those ones, I could do that. And the third option is assign only participants in groups without a corral assignment. So this is like, I want to make sure that everybody gets corrals assigned, but if I happen to assign a corral manually, I don't want to update that one. So for this case, I haven't done anything with corrals yet, so I just want to do this. And it will tell you that how many participants it's affecting when you do this right here. And then below, it'll actually give you a list of all the participants who are or who will be included in this corral once you set up this rule. So when you click continue, it's going to automatically assign these participants to that corral, as well as set up a rule so that in the background, any new participants that come in who have that answer yes, and if someone's custom question entry was changed on a check-in app or something like that, that will get applied and they'll get moved into that early start corral automatically. So I click corral. So it's updated my corral, it's updated all my reports, which is nice. I can go back here and see all my corral members. So I know they're all in there. And then if I want to, I can go ahead and say this person actually didn't start with them, this person didn't, so on and so forth. So that's how I would do member assignment rule. It's pretty slick. So again, if you want to, you can also, like I said, click into a participant record anywhere and just change their individual response if you need to. You also can import corral assignments. So let's say you have someone, I used to do this all the time, you'd have someone run to the start line for the early start, jot down on a pad of paper the 5 people who decided to do it, and then you type that into a spreadsheet. So you can import that spreadsheet, just like a bib number and the corral name or corral ID. So basically it's a quick way of just importing a bunch into that corral. So that's corral assignments. Basically, when you do that, this gun start time is going to be applied to those participants instead of their scored event start time. So let's keep going. That's a deep dive into corrals, but it's an important one that I wanted to really show you. So you may have seen this when I was going through the corrals. We now have the option to have an untimed start. So previously, you would always need to have a timing location that was designated for the start, even if you weren't collecting times there. So for races where chip times are not collected, you would still need a dummy location for the start. Now you have the option to just select not a time start when setting up scored events to avoid this restriction. So we didn't really change anything in the functionality here. It's just that we've removed the restriction so that you can save this, this scored event without a start time, and giving you that option to say, I'm not even timing the start for this. Why do I need a location? So moving forward, groups and team scoring. So we've added a bunch more team scoring options. We now support the following aggregate team scoring options. So this is how I'm basically placing teams. Score by age group place, gender place, team total time, team average time. So the couple that we still have to work on are age graded place and number of finishers. So, I want to see for a corporate run who had the most amount of runners sign up for their team. Doesn't matter how fast they ran. I just want to see who got the most amount of supporters. So our groups, our team scoring has been doing really, really well. We have a race here that I can show you really quick. Just give me a second for it to load. It's a pretty large race. Not a good one to show off on a webinar. So you'll see here, I now see this team here. This is a first place team, second place team, third place team, and it shows all the members or the top 5 for this report I made. And we also have a way to show a summary type of report where it's just the teams in a list instead of being each and every team. So if you want to build a team report, you have to make sure, first of all, that you are you have group options set on the scored event you're going to be building a report for. So that's in scored events again, right here, scored events, and then group options. And you have to decide what type of scoring. I'm going to do aggregate. This one I want to do gender place, by next finisher for tiebreaker. We also have some other things like best cumulative time, best last scored, allow ties, all sorts of things. aggregation time display? Do I want to show the total time, average time, or don't show that aggregate time at all? And then how do I score, or how deep do I score? So I want to make sure each team has 5 members at least in order to qualify for scoring. And I'm going to score through 5. So that's how you do the team setup. Once you have group options there, you'd be able to build a report. I'm just going to do team summary. Pick the 5K event. And then I have a few different types of report sections that I can add to this report. I'm going to add this group's list section, which is like my my summary report. I'm just going to save it. All right, let's take a look. It takes a minute to run this report on a big race. I apologize. Oh, there it is. So I have different group types in this. I had like a 100 or 1 to 499 employees group type. So this is ranking my teams within that group type, and then I have my 500 plus employee results. So you'll see them all here, and it'll show their aggregate total chip time and so on and so forth. So we have some social teams that showed up as well. Only 2 of them there, and one's incomplete. So Spectrum Healthcare won. So we do support a lot of team reports. Definitely check it out if you haven't and you have a team type race to score in the near future. We added a drop-down select for group type when using participant info filter in report section filtering. That's useful for this example, actually. So if I wanted to say, well, this is a good report, but I really only want to show my group type of 500 plus teams. So I would add a participant scoring filter, actually. I want to renumber this. I want to say that show me only those with a group type that is 500 plus, and save it. So now that report is going to regenerate itself and only show me those teams that match those conditions. So again, let's take a second. It only takes this long the first time you build a report. Whenever they're updated, it's not as not like that at all. So now I see I only have the 500 plus employees in this report. So that's how you use that new function we added. And so those group types, they're coming down actually from the group classifications here under age groups and group classifications. So if you click those group classifications, we'll see these group types. So for this race, these actually came down automatically from RunSignup's group team setup. So you'll notice if you have a race that is using groups and teams on RunSignup, those team classifications get blown in here automatically for you. It's a really easy way to get your team set up. So do take a chance to look at the way that they're collecting registrations online. You can always change all of this and say, they're not doing it right. I gotta split up my groups in a different way and change them and add different group types. You can always do that, and you can set all of these different minimums and standards and things, and it's not going to affect their registration at all. So basically, we take this as a starting point, but you can make any changes you want to the way you do your group classifications and scoring, and it's not going to touch their registration. But I think it's easier for you if you get them to set it up in a way that's easy for you to score. All right, moving on. For participants, we have a bunch of different things we added. RunSignup super event support. So we had, prior to this, we didn't really fully support races that use super and sub events in the registration setup. So this is where you have a package race deal in a single race where you have like one RunSignup race URL, and it's a series of multiple races. So, but you also have one registration event on RunSignup that's like for the whole series. So you can say in RunSignup dashboard, there's a way to say, I want all of the individual races to be marked as a sub-event of the super event, which is the series race. And then anybody who's in that series race gets distributed down into the individual race days. So a lot of people use this, but we noticed that it was not working quite as expected with RaceDay Scoring. So now I fully support that. and you'll see in a race that has super and sub events that you can look at participants in any number of the, basically like this Triple Crown. Denise, yeah, this was set up like a super and sub event, but you could see if it were down here, it would show results for this person in the 10K and the 5K and so on, if you did have them entered in multiple races. So is our way of supporting that. All right, we added a clear bib chip cross-reference option when clearing chip codes from participants. So there was some confusion around how the way that chip cross-references and individual chip assignments work in RaceDay scoring. So if you go to actions and set up chip auto assignment, this is how you basically say, I've got this list of chip codes that should be automatically applied to my participants when I see them. So basically that is a rule that's running all the time. And it's saying, okay, I see bib 1, it gets chip 1001. I see bib 2, it gets chip 1002. So if I came into my participant record and I cleared a chip on 1404, let's say, the chip would go away, but then it would immediately be reapplied back to their record from the auto assign policy. So we now added a way. If you come in here and I say I want to clear the chips, I want to clear the chip codes. Also, you can now delete the current cross-reference table. So what that means is basically it's going to clear the chip assignments to the participants here, but also clear the rule that's assigning them. So it's a little bit easier. You don't have to do 2 steps. You don't have to clear the assignment rule and then clear the person. It's just kind of one. So hopefully that helps explain kind of how the chips are assigned in RaceDay scoring. It's a membership rule that runs and assigns the chip codes to anybody who matches the rule. If you just clear the assignment, it's going to get reapplied from the rule if it's still running. Okay, so streams. We changed the way that Summit Timer stream works. So this is basically a type of manual backup solution where you would punch in numbers on a little machine. What we did was we changed it to always assume the data will never be considered for the chip with the chip cross-reference. So it's always mapped directly to the bib number. So this means that you don't have to import multiple chip cross-reference files if you're collecting chip reads with one stream that need a cross-reference, but are also collecting times in a Summit device which doesn't need a cross-reference. So basically, what this means is that we now support more easily, like you're using an IPECO system, where you've got all of these transponder codes for participants, and our connectors only looking for transponder codes. And also you have a backup timing system, which is actually writing out in bib numbers. So before, we were looking only at the chip codes because that's all that made sense for the IPECO system. But now we're being smart and marking the Summit stream type and saying that any times that come from here, we're going to actually consider as actual bib numbers there. So a little bit better support for Summit timers. You no longer have to import multiple cross-reference files, which is kind of a pain before. All right, on the top 5 leaderboards, so this is on the dashboard. If you look right here, it gives you a quick and dirty little leaderboard for the top 5 males and top 5 females. So this was a little secret for everyone here. The way that this works is that it looks at the scored event 5K, and it grabs, when it loads, it grabs the gender place column in this report. And basically what was happening was that people would remove this gender place column from reports, and then suddenly they would see that their leaderboards weren't working. It's because we just did a shortcut and went in. We see like the first report for the 5K and get the gender place field and put it into this little box. So if you deleted your gender place field, it would say here, make sure you have a gender place field in your 5K in a report for the 5K. So if you wanted to create a secondary report that doesn't show gender place to use for something else, you can do that. It's just that you have to have one report that has that gender place in order for it to show the little leaderboard here. Okay, raw reads view. So we've added a change to the raw reads view. I don't know if I have a good race for an example of this, but basically what we did was we now added bib numbers to the raw reads view when using chip systems that only report chip numbers in the read data. But you have a bib chip assignment rule, which contains bib number mappings. So the use case for this, again, is like if you were using an IPECO system that it only reports in alphanumeric chip codes. So what this view really is we're looking at the raw data from the stream itself to get this chip code. And because IPECO doesn't know anything about bib numbers, we weren't showing that. What we did was we said, well, we do know that there's a cross-reference for this person, so we'll go out and grab the bib number that's supposed to be associated with that chip number and fill it into this column. So now we show that. We put it in italics so that you know that this is not actual data coming from the raw read. It's data that's being interpreted by us as the bib number for that chip code. Segments. This is a pretty good one. They probably haven't run into before, but it does happen every once in a while. We now automatically update the occurrence count for segment definitions when changing from a separate start-finish race to a common start-finish race. So this is commonly overlooked setting. When you're creating a race, we automatically set up entire race segments for you. So if I were to come in and just create a new race, I'm not going to publish it around sign up. So by default, we always create a start and finish for you. And we also create, once you add your scored event in, segments. So for this test 5K, I always create this entire race segment, which is just my 5K. And you'll see here, we pre-fill it with your start point and end point info that we automatically build for you by default, common or separate start finish. What would happen with a lot of people is they would come in and they'd see like, oh, it set this up for me, but they wouldn't even look at this screen where it's saying I want to set the endpoint occurrence to 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever, and all they see is I've got this separate start finish, and well, I'm not doing a separate start finish. I'm doing common start finish. So what I'm going to do is get rid of this. I have to delete it from my. There we go. So I'm going to get rid of this start, and I'm going to change my finish to be start and finish, because that's what I'm doing. So prior to the way our system worked before, we had it so that the segment definitions would not be updated if that changed. So this endpoint occurrence would stay 1 for common start finish races. And what that would cause, it would say, okay, I'm looking at the start finish endpoint, and for the starting point, I'm looking at the common start finish, but both of the occurrences are going to be 1. So it would end up with everybody with 0 times, because the start occurrence and the finish occurrence are the same, meaning that it's subtracting the same time from the same time, giving you 0 in the end. So now we automatically increment this to 2. And if I try to save this, it's going to hopefully yell at me. Yeah, it's going to say starting point and end point must use different occurrences when using the same timing location. So we've tried to protect that a little bit better so that people don't run into that issue where they have 0 for their all their times because that occurrence is set wrong. And now we're going to get into bug fixes. We got a ton of bug fixes that have been implemented since then. I don't know if I'm going to go through all of these because honestly, it'll bore you. Rest assured, suffice to say, we fixed a lot, and we fixed a lot in groups, teams, top finisher categories, raw reads, participants, scored events, and a few other ones. So take a look through this if you do want to, read through some more of these bug reports that we fixed. But otherwise, If you have any questions, we got a few more minutes here. Feel free to use your questions panel in the webinar. Otherwise, feel free to reach out to me at any time, Avery at runsignup.com, or all of us, RaceDay at runsignup.com. Give us a call at our support number. It's included in the presentation. It's also on our or in the support section of the app. So you can come in here, click the question mark, shoot us a note with your race setup, or this call here. So let's see. Any questions? Okay. Got a few coming in. Going to be any kind of category for gender. I think what you're referring to is having like a non-binary option, and you can certainly set up any kind of scoring that you want using a custom question. So a lot of people do this with a separate question for gender on RunSignup instead of using the standard default gender field, and that way they can just basically create all the same type of scoring that they need for that separate category in that way. Let's see another one. Chris is asking, with a super sub event setup, will there eventually be reporting for that within RaceDay Scoring, or should you continue using RunSignup series scoring? Okay, so that question is a little bit different, but basically what he's asking about is if you had multiple races that you wanted to add times together for, is that going to be possible in RaceDay Scoring, or is that something that we should look to RunSignup series scoring for? And I would say for the time being, continue using RunSignup series scoring. We don't have series scoring in the app, really in the plan for a little bit. It would require a big change that we're not willing to invest in right now because we want to add some other more important features. So we're going to say use the RunSignup series scoring functionality right now. It's pretty solid. You can do a lot of custom scoring scenarios if you want to calculate the points on your end and kind of upload the scores that way. But more basic stuff, it does out of the box really well. Derek Bailey, is there a min-max time ability to pull times in? Yeah, I can show you that. So there's a whole lot of filtering that you can do on accepting times. So for a timing location, let me get this screen out of the way. I can go into the settings for a timing location, and this is a common start finish. So the default filtering is when do I want to stop collecting start times? So I could say, you know, I want to stop collecting at 7:05 because I know all my starters finished or went past the start before 7:05. And then when do I want to begin collecting finish or split times? I could say 7:48, let's say, whatever it is. In addition to that, I can do additional bib and time filters. So I can do any amount of these filtering rules in here to say, give me only those between these times or only those with this specific bib number and so on and so forth at that location. So that should accomplish everything you need. All right, so Matt is asking, will I be able to log in and see what one of my timers is doing? I'm assuming since there's a cloud component to this, that is shareable. So Matt, the way we're doing this is we're going to be basically sending information to the RunSignup timer dashboard so you can see the progress of a race. We're not planning on doing like a live view of anything because our system doesn't really work like that. We're not going to be able to see them clicking around inside of the app and changing a field. We really don't think that there's we would have to do a complete overhaul of our entire system to make it work like that, and we don't really want to do that because it'd be really it wouldn't be very good for performance or your data plan. Honestly, if you want to look at everything that your timer is doing in the field, I would use TeamViewer or something like that. What we're going to do is grab the most the most commonly asked for pieces of data for progress in the race. So how many passings do I have on each of my timing locations? How many raw reads do I have? How many starters and finishers do I have? What's my rate of finish? Things like that, so you can get an idea of what's going on. But maybe you don't, you can't see the exact filtering rules they set up or anything like that. Derek's asking just the one occurrence for start and second occurrence for finish. No, so there is a way here to say I've got a total number of occurrences 5, and I can set a gap factor between each of the reads. So between occurrence 1 and 2, I should wait 10 minutes before a retrigger, and then between 2 and 3, wait 5 minutes. So I can define the gap factors between each occurrence here. So back with Matthew, he's asking, when someone is having a problem, can I troubleshoot for them? Yes, so definitely what we're going to do is we're going to have automatic backups to the cloud of their race configuration. So at any time, you can load in the most recent update from them so you can see what's going on in terms of, this is the update they made 3 minutes ago. But you're not going to be able to see them like clicking around inside of the app while you're in there. Derek again, he's asking, so you would still need to set second occurrence or finish? Yeah, so this is a common start finish location setup. So it's basically occurrence 1 is being used as a start and occurrence 2 is being used as a finish. It's a little different from the way that Race Director does it, but that's how we are doing it. Occurrence 1 is the start and occurrence 2 is the finish for a location where you're collecting both start and finish times. If I were doing separate start and finish, I would just do occurrence 1 and you would see that gap factor setup go away. Ed's asking, how do you bring in times from a reader that wasn't connected live? I.e., the race started, reader is brought physically to me for the finish line, is connected to the network. It kind of depends on what type of reader it is, but because different readers have like different middleware products, like with timing and scoring, or for MyLapse, you would just hook up the reader and then play the data through a direct connect setup, or you could just grab a flash drive off an iPico light reader and set up a folder on your computer and set up a stream to collect that data. So we have many different types of streams that you can set up to collect chip data from systems. You can either do all these different direct type systems where you're plugging into a TCP IP port and IP address, or you can do a file-based import of any of these type of standard file sets, or even a custom type of file where you're defining the passing format. I have a file that's like bib code, comma, date, time, and I just want to import the times from that file. We could do it that way. So there's many different ways for you to handle that. I think we would handle it best, or I would explain it to you best on like a case-by-case basis if you have more in-depth questions. Question about the corral question you had created earlier. If you manually uncheck a participant that originally indicated yes to the early start, then you change them to no, will we have access or reflection of their original indication chosen when they registered? I'm not actually sure. That's like a, I don't know if we, there would be a way to get that information. I think it would be like you could see on their confirmation email what they originally answered, but I'm not sure if there's an audit log on RunSignup actually for that. That'd probably be a better question for someone on the RunSignup side, to be honest, because that's like their question response. I don't know if that's like logged like as an original, or if they keep their a log of their changes there. I have a feeling that it wouldn't be saved, so you have to go back to see like their original registration confirmation to see what their state was there. Ed was specifying for iPico systems if I wanted to bring in the times from a reader. So I think with iPico, you can just take a flash drive out from the reader itself and then dump the file onto your desktop and import that file. That'll be the easiest way I can think of doing it. Yeah. Monica's asking, how would you set up a race when only the finish times are collected, gun start only? So that's kind of what I was showing with this race. So now we just did this update so that you don't have to have the start location anymore. You can just have a finish. And when you set up your scored events, you could say, it's not a time to start. I'm not actually collecting start times. And that's all you would do. Ed's asking, what's the plan for integrating finish links with XC scoring? So we're going to do, we're basically going to do what we did with Race Director for finish links. So you could import times from your finish link system that you've recorded as like a backup or something like that as overrides in Race Director, so that you could say, I want to consider these backup times or not, and have them in RaceDay Scoring to choose from. So that's a plan for finish links for cross country. Chris is asking, can you manually delete one individual from a corral after an upload? Once you do, does it automatically score them based on the event start time? Yeah, I don't have a good example of a race with like actual times with corrals, but you'll see in the participant view, like you could change their corral and their times will actually update in real time, like their finish times will update in real time. So it's very, very quick. I'm gonna try and find a race here. But yeah, basically if you change this corral, it'll update their finish times, which would show here if I had results for this person in real time, it'll adjust it. So yeah, it happens immediately. All right, so that's all the questions we got time for today. Again, if you have more questions, and these are all good ones, feel free to get in touch. We love talking to people. We like building cool software for you. We want to make this the best in the business, so give us a hand. Tell us what we need to work on. Thanks a lot for coming, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.